Here is a transcript cleaned up, with all timestamps removed and the text polished for readability. 10 states many Black Americans regret moving to. This is an investigative breakdown of relocation choices that didn't turn out as expected. Going beyond the hype, this analysis examines why many Black Americans wish they'd never moved to certain states, drawing on Black migration trends, economic data, and real lived experiences. It exposes the truths people often discover after the move: rising costs, shrinking opportunities, cultural isolation, and policies that quietly shape daily life. This isn't about fear or blanket claims. It's about patterns that consistently show up in data and community conversations. If you've ever thought, asterisk, what I wish I knew before moving asterisk, this is for you. 10. Louisiana. Louisiana shows up at number 10, not because people don't love it, but because love alone doesn't pay bills, stop floods, or fix broken systems. This is a state with some of the deepest Black roots in America. Culture here isn't imported, it's inherited. Music, food, faith, family. For many Black Americans, moving to Louisiana or moving back feels like coming home, until reality checks in. The data tells a quiet story. Louisiana has experienced long-term outmigration, especially among working-age adults and college-educated residents. Rural parishes lose people steadily, while a few urban pockets gain then lose them again. Jobs remain limited outside healthcare, petrochemicals, and public sector work. Wages lag behind national averages while insurance, utilities, and housing costs quietly rise. The mass starts moving in the wrong direction. Here's a scenario people don't talk about enough. You move to Louisiana for the low cost of living, only to discover that low wages cancel it out. A former transplant put it bluntly, asterisk, it's cheap until you realize you're owning less, paying more for basics, and saving nothing. Asterisk, another said, asterisk, I didn't leave because I hated it. I left because I couldn't see a future. Asterisk. Then there's climate vulnerability, the kind that doesn't just make headlines once a decade. Flooding, hurricanes, extreme heat, rising insurance premiums, and neighborhoods that get hit over and over again. Some residents joke darkly, asterisk, we rebuild like it's a tradition. Asterisk, others aren't laughing anymore. One longtime resident said, asterisk, every storm feels like a countdown clock. You start asking yourself how many times you can start over. Asterisk. Services matter. 2. Public infrastructure. Healthcare access in rural areas and underfunded schools push families to reconsider staying. Parents talk about driving hours for specialists. Graduates talk about leaving because opportunity doesn't come back for them. Asterisk. Louisiana raised me. Asterisk, one person said. Asterisk, but I had to leave to grow. Asterisk. What makes Louisiana complicated and why it lands at number 10 is that regret often comes with guilt. People miss the culture deeply. They miss the sense of belonging. But nostalgia doesn't outweigh stagnation. The hard truth many discover is this: staying can mean sacrificing upward mobility, while leaving feels like abandoning home. Louisiana isn't a bad place. It's a hard place to build long-term stability, to weather literal and economic storms, and to imagine progress that matches the pride. And for many Black Americans who came expecting opportunity wrapped in tradition, that realization arrives later than it should. 9. Texas. Texas lands at number 9 because it sells a dream. And for a while, it delivers just enough of it to keep people unpacking boxes. The numbers are real. Texas added more Black residents than any other state over the last decade. Jobs, no state income tax, warm weather, booming cities. On paper, it looks like the smart move. In real life, the fine print shows up fast. Here's how it usually starts. You move to a major metro for opportunity. The salary looks decent. The rent seems manageable compared to where you came from. Then year 2 hits. Your rent jumps 20%. Property taxes quietly climb. Commutes get longer. And suddenly that affordable Texas life feels like a subscription plan you didn't agree to. One newcomer said, asterisk, Texas was cheap when I arrived. It got expensive right after I signed the lease. Asterisk. Brookings has called Texas a top destination in modern Black migration, and that part is true. But migration doesn't equal satisfaction. Many black transplants discover that worker protections are thin, wages don't always keep pace with rising costs, and job security can feel fragile. As one former resident put it, asterisk, you make more money here, but you keep less of it, and you're easier to replace. Asterisk. Then there's gentrification. In cities like Houston and Dallas, black newcomers often move into historically black neighborhoods expecting community, only to find displacement happening in real time. New developments go up, property values spike, long-time residents move out. The sense of belonging becomes temporary. One renter shared, asterisk, I moved into a black neighborhood and watched it disappear in 3 years. Asterisk. Social climate matters. 2. Texas isn't one experience. It's many. Some black residents thrive, build businesses, and find strong networks. Others describe subtle but persistent friction. Asterisk, it's not loud racism. Asterisk, one transplant said. Asterisk, it's policies, policing, and feeling like you're tolerated, not welcomed. Asterisk, that distinction sticks with people. And while Texas markets freedom hard, the reality can feel restrictive in unexpected ways, especially around labor rights, education debates, and healthcare access. Texas isn't on this list because people aren't moving there. They absolutely are. It's here because many arrive expecting a long-term upgrade and later realize they signed up for trade-offs they weren't warned about. Opportunity exists, but it comes with pressure, pace, and precarity. For some black Americans, Texas becomes a stepping stone. For others, it's a lesson learned after the boxes are already unpacked. 8. Florida. Florida earns a number 8 spot because it's a classic bait-and-switch state. On paper, it looks irresistible sunshine, no state income tax, beaches, palm trees, and the promise of a softer life. And the data backs the hype. Florida has gained hundreds of thousands of black residents over the last decade, making it one of the biggest black migration magnets in the country. It usually starts People the same are moving way. In fast. You move but for the staying, weather, that's where the story gets complicated. Or retirement dreams. Maybe you're escaping cold winters or high taxes. For the first year, everything feels lighter. Then the bills start arriving. Rent spikes. Insurance premiums, especially homeowners and auto, jump hard. Groceries cost more than expected. One transplant said, asterisk, I thought I left high costs behind. Florida just did them better. Asterisk, popular metros have become especially brutal. Housing prices exploded. Wages didn't keep up. And many black residents find themselves priced out of neighborhoods faster than they planned. What was once an affordable paradise now feels like a competition where the rules keep changing mid-game. Then there's a political and cultural whiplash. Florida isn't just beaches, it's policies. Education changes, voting law shifts, and aggressive political messaging have left some black residents uneasy about long-term stability. One parent put it plainly, asterisk, I'm not worried about today. I'm worried about what my kids will inherit here. Asterisk, another said, asterisk, I didn't move here for politics, but politics moved into my life anyway. Asterisk, policing and community trust also come up repeatedly in lived experiences. While some areas feel welcoming and vibrant, others feel tense, especially for newcomers who assume diversity automatically meant inclusion. Asterisk, there are a lot of black people, asterisk, one resident said, asterisk, but that doesn't always mean there's power or protection. Asterisk, Florida's growth is real, but it's uneven. Some black transplants thrive, especially those with strong incomes, remote jobs, or established family networks. Others discover that without those buffers, Florida can feel isolating and unforgiving. Add climate pressure, heat, flooding, rising insurance risks, and long-term planning starts to feel shaky. One long-time resident joked darkly, asterisk, you're either saving for retirement or saving for the next storm. Pick one. Asterisk, Florida isn't on this list because people aren't coming. They are, in huge numbers. It's here because many arrive chasing ease and discover friction instead. The sunshine is real. So are the trade-offs. And for some black Americans, the regret isn't about moving. It's about realizing too late that paradise comes with policies, prices, and pressures they didn't sign up for. 7. Ohio. Ohio lands at number 7 because it looks like the sensible choice until you live it. Lower housing costs, quiet neighborhoods, a promise of stability without coastal chaos. For many Black Americans, Ohio feels like a reset button. But after the excitement fades, a familiar question creeps in. Asterisk is it? Asterisk. Cities like Cleveland and Cincinnati tell a complicated story. County and city-level data show long-term population stagnation, with Black neighborhoods shrinking or shifting outward. People move in expecting opportunity tied to affordability, only to discover that affordable doesn't always mean upward. Jobs exist, yes, but often not the kind that build wealth. One transplant put it bluntly, asterisk, I found work fast. I just didn't find a future. Asterisk, the job market is the first wake-up call. Outside a few sectors, wages lag national averages and career mobility can feel limited. Professionals talk about hitting ceilings early. Younger residents describe hopping jobs without meaningful raises. Asterisk, it's like the ladder is missing rungs, asterisk, one former resident said. Asterisk, you can climb, but not very high. Asterisk, schools are another pressure point. Families who move for quiet suburbs often find under-resourced districts and stark inequalities between neighborhoods just miles apart. Parents talk about long commutes for better schools or feeling trapped between affordability and quality. Asterisk, I saved on rent. Asterisk, one parent shared. Asterisk, but paid for it in stress. Asterisk, then there's the social piece. Ohio isn't hostile, it's distant. Many Black newcomers describe politeness without connection, diversity without depth. Community exists, but it's fragmented after decades of population loss. Asterisk, people are nice, asterisk, one resident said. Asterisk, but nice isn't the same as support. Asterisk, for those used to vibrant Black ecosystems, the adjustment can feel isolating. And while Ohio markets itself as up and coming, progress feels slow. Revitalization projects come and go. Promises get recycled. Asterisk, they've been saying Renaissance since I was a kid, asterisk, one longtime resident joked. The humor masks frustration, especially for those who move believing they were arriving at the start of something new. Ohio isn't a bad place. For some, it's steady, safe, and manageable. But it lands on this list because many Black Americans arrive expecting a trade-up from high-cost states and instead get a lateral move, or worse, a stall. The regret isn't dramatic, it's quiet. It's realizing that saving money doesn't matter if opportunity doesn't grow with you. And that's a hard truth to unpack once you've already settled in. 6. New Jersey. New Jersey lands at number 6 because it promises a suburban upgrade and then invoices you for believing it. On paper, it's a dream move. Proximity to major job markets, top-ranked schools, safer neighborhoods, and diversity without the chaos. Many Black families move here thinking they've cracked the code. What they discover instead is a constant trade-off between safety, affordability, and belonging. Let's start with the numbers. New Jersey consistently ranks among the most expensive states in the country. Housing costs in commuter towns are steep. Property taxes are famously high, and everyday expenses quietly pile up. The sticker shock hits fast. One transplant said, asterisk, I didn't realize my paycheck was already spoken for before it even arrived. Asterisk, another added, asterisk, the house was nice. The mortgage was not. Asterisk, the move often begins with schools. Parents stretch budgets to land in good districts, believing the sacrifice will pay off. But what's rarely discussed is how exclusionary some suburban patterns still are. Black families report feeling tolerated rather than welcomed, visible, but not included. Asterisk, we move for the kids. Asterisk, one parent shared. Asterisk, but somehow we still felt like outsiders. Asterisk, isolation becomes a silent cost. Many Black newcomers find themselves one of a few families in otherwise homogeneous neighborhoods. Community is there, but it's scattered. Churches, cultural spaces, and social networks often require long drives. Asterisk, I live in a beautiful town. Asterisk, one resident said. Asterisk, but my life happens everywhere else. Asterisk, that wears on people over time. Then there's the commute math. The promise of access to major metros comes with packed trains, long drives, and time lost daily. Families talk about paying premium prices just to spend less time at home. Asterisk, I bought a house to see it on weekends. Asterisk, one resident joked. Humor aside, burnout shows up quickly. What makes New Jersey tricky, and why it earns this spot, is that it works really well if you're high income, already connected. If you're not, the margins are unforgiving. Rising rents push people farther out. Property taxes lock others in place. And upward mobility starts to feel slower than expected. New Jersey isn't unlivable for some black families. It's stable, safe, and worth every penny. But it's here because many move expecting balance and end up managing pressure instead. The regret isn't about moving to New Jersey. It's about realizing that better came with a price tag, social distance, and trade-offs no one explained up front. 5. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania comes in at number 5 because it looks solid from a distance and complicated up close. For many black Americans, moving here feels practical. Historic cities, recognizable culture, and the promise of stability without coastal prices. But once you settle in, the layers start peeling back. And what you find underneath explains why so many eventually rethink the move. In several Pennsylvania metros, especially older industrial corridors and parts of Philadelphia, outward migration has been the trend. Neighborhoods that once anchored black middle-class life have been hollowed out by decades of disinvestment. Schools struggle. Small businesses disappear. Job pipelines dry up. One resident summed it up bluntly. Asterisk, it feels like the city stopped investing but never stopped collecting. Asterisk, employment is one of the first letdowns. While healthcare and education dominate, opportunities outside those sectors can feel limited or stagnant. Transplants often describe landing a job, but not a ladder. Asterisk, I got hired fast. Asterisk, one newcomer said. Asterisk, but promotions move slower than traffic on the expressway. Asterisk for professionals, that plateau shows up early and lingers. Policing and community trust are another pressure point. Black residents frequently describe tense relationships with law enforcement that feel disproportionate and draining. Asterisk, it's not always dramatic, it's persistent. Asterisk, one longtime resident explained. Asterisk, you're not unsafe every day. You're just always aware. Asterisk, that constant awareness wears people down over time. Then there's the neighborhood shuffle. Gentrification in select areas has raised rents without raising opportunity for long-time black residents, while other neighborhoods face abandonment instead of renewal. People move in expecting community, only to find fragmentation. Asterisk, everybody I bonded with eventually left. Asterisk, one resident said. Asterisk, that tells you something. Asterisk, Pennsylvania's appeal also depends heavily on where you land. Some suburbs offer comfort and calm, at a price. Others promise affordability but lack access to quality schools, healthcare, or jobs. Families find themselves making trade-offs they didn't anticipate. Asterisk, I thought I was buying stability. Asterisk, one parent shared. Asterisk, but I was really buying time. Time before we had to move again. Asterisk, what makes Pennsylvania land this high on the list isn't that it's unlivable. It's that expectations and reality often miss each other. The state carries history, but history alone doesn't guarantee progress. For many black Americans, the regret comes from realizing that staying requires patience, resilience, and compromises that don't always pay off. Pennsylvania isn't a place people flee overnight. It's a place they slowly outgrow or feel outgrown by. And when opportunity keeps inching away instead of meeting you halfway, the question becomes unavoidable. Asterisk, how long do